Pavements, concrete and dust fencing the green. Unmoving and unchanged, the sole constant of the shifting springs and summers rolling by too slow to notice, too fast to catch. Grazed knees healed over with scar tissue, kissed by the grass of Hampstead Heath, faded before I can understand. That lone tree in Richmond Park, brought back to existence only by fond retellings of a horrid day. Mango monster, sunlight in my eyes before I glanced down, too shy. Sun setting as the mosquitoes descended. Would you be here to remind me before I forgot? I'd hope so, but it's okay. Time runs away from me. In late August, I'll be stood still, at the top of Primrose, to watch as she goes, joyously downhill. So, I wrote this poem a few days ago because spring is coming, it's late February, and springtime is my favourite time of the year. The best things in my life always happen in spring. It's very much a rebirth period. The sun starts, the sky goes blue and I feel like I'm on crack cocaine. But every year as spring comes, it obviously brings me a lot of happiness, but at the same time it brings this strange nostalgic sadness as I remember all of the good things that happened in years prior. And this poem is basically just kind of reflecting on all of that. London summers are a very specific experience, I feel, especially when you're a teenager and you're young. It's lots of drinking in parks. That's where I met a lot of people that ended up being very important to my development. And a lot of the lines are referencing those people. It's different people, it's not this one person that I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just kind of talking about this strange nostalgic sadness that happy times bring and the cyclical nature of life, I guess. But yeah, my favourite line is, in late August, I'll be stood still at the top of Primrose to watch as she goes joyously downhill. Because Primrose Hill is like this hill in London, and in the summertime it's always very busy with loads of teenagers like hanging out, like drinking, whatever. And you can see like the entirety of London from it. And I remember when I was like 16 going to Primrose Hill and like running downhill, and just like screaming like drunk as fuck. Yeah, like I guess I was kind of saying like time. I was like personifying time, and she's having her fun. She's running away downhill, and I'm watching her disappear off into the distance, while I kind of stay stuck in the past a little bit as I get older. But yeah, that's what the poem means. I also like the line, "Grazed knees healed over with scar tissue, kissed by the grass of Hampstead Heath, and faded before I can understand," because I feel like a lot of things that have happened to me, I never really got over them. I kind of just stopped feeling hurt by them. Like I recovered from them without my own knowledge. Like in the way that the body heals itself, just kind of naturally. It's not a conscious decision to heal yourself, it just kind of occurs. And then you're stuck staring at these like scars thinking like, damn, like that did happen, doesn't hurt anymore, but like, wow, I'm kind of like stuck with this kind of thing. Should I feel any kind of way about this? But yeah. Also the line, "Would you be here to remind me before I forgot? I'd hope so, but it's okay." Because in the past, like, I would meet people and they would become very important to me, and I would kind of imagine a whole life with them where, like, I would think that this is like a forever person in my life kind of vibe. And, I would hope and pray that those good times wouldn't end, but good times do inevitably always end. And that's, like, okay. Like, I'd obviously hoped that they wouldn't, but it's alright. That person, was still valuable to me and still brought me a lot of happiness, even though it wasn't permanent. And, yeah, so it's sort of like saying it's okay, like, to people that have, like, kind of hurt me, I guess, in the past. But yeah, I like that line as well. Because also, it's sad when you look back on happy times and you can't really remember them very well. Like, and you would hope that people would stick around to, like, help you remember, but they don't, and so you forget. And there's something very nostalgically sad about that. But yeah, I really like this poem. I feel like I really conveyed exactly how I was feeling in it, which to me is what makes a successful poem. I don't care if it sounds good or if it sounds intellectual. I just want it to convey exactly how I'm feeling, and this one very much does that, so I'm quite pleased with it. But yeah. This next one I've been told is one of my best. I like it. It's not my favorite, but anyway. Crawling on my hands and knees, clawing at the dirt till my fingernails bleed, repenting, begging for forgiveness from an entity that can't listen. I call out to her, seeking guidance, advice, warmth. The vast, empty void of the universe echoes back silence. I beg for a conscious God, kissing the ground and gazing to the stars, crying, Mother, crucify me and absolve me of my sins. Place me in my tomb so I may resurrect. Pleading to nothingness. The frozen air turns my breath to fog. The hard ground is cold. This great expanse of nothingness is ice. But my body is warm. So I don't know if you can tell from that, but I was raised Catholic. So I'm a very spiritual person. I always rejected Catholicism quite heavily, even from quite a young age, because I remember like they were reading us like Genesis, like, or whatever the fuck, when I was like, what, like 6 or 7. And I've always been like an annoying little feminist, and the Bible just always seemed massively misogynistic to me, and it pissed me off. So I was never really into Catholicism for that reason. But when I grew up, when I was like 15, 16, I became very spiritual. I got really into like astrology and kind of like new age spirituality stuff, and that kind of devolved into like this like extreme like spiritual paranoia, and I was convinced that like I had, you know, been a terrible person, and the universe balance was out of whack, and like my karma balance was out of whack, and I was being stalked by predatory like entities in other realms that were coming to punish me because I've been such a bad person. And I just had this extreme spiritual paranoia. Like, it was really difficult, and eventually I got over that, and I realized that was kind of all a bit crazy, and it just became like I felt like I was just I carry a lot of guilt as a person. I feel a lot of guilt all the time, just for random things, different situations, just like living my life, even the way that I am, I feel guilt for it. And this poem is basically me writing about how like I wish there was some entity out there that could like, I wish there was some God that could come and forgive me and take my sins away and like, you know, cleanse me. And like this idea of like begging for a conscious God, begging for something out there to listen to your pain and help you, and how kind of realizing the universe is cold. The universe is cold and it's empty. Like, yeah, but in a way, like, you are warm, the individual self is warm, and love has to come from you, and it's not going to come from some outside source. Like, it has to come from you, and like repenting and forgiveness and everything has to come from you. I guess that's what I'm saying here. Bit of a waffle, but yeah. It also ties into my mummy issues as well, but I won't get too much into that. But notice how I say mother, and like I think I call the universe she somewhere, I don't know. Anyway.